All right, okay. Now both conditions have been met. It's been 10 minutes and it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Also, we've reached 70 people. We've already exceeded the 50 students we mentioned earlier, so we can start. Before we begin today's lesson, I want to thank the students willing to share in our tech sharing area and the teachers who sent private messages to our group. Coincidentally, they are all students and teachers from Lishan High School, and their shared content is all here. If any students or teachers are interested, feel free to browse here. As for Wang, he shared some code he previously worked on. Now, this code might be a bit different from what we teach, but that's okay. If you're really curious about what he's doing, you can download it and ask AI to teach you. For example, here we have a download option. After you download it, you can grab this file. We can use Gemini because it's quite useful and free right now. Like my account here is also free. So I just send this file to it and ask, I'm a beginner in programming. Can you help me understand this code? Please explain it to me. List the key points and concepts and provide 10 small sections for practice, something like that. Then it can interact with you based on your instructions and tell you that this code is for a pricing model. This pricing model uses a formula called geometric Brownian motion, which is paired with options rules. It estimates how much money we should put into our contract. So you might say, I don't know what these things are, and you can continue to ask questions. Everyone approaches it from different angles and asks different questions, which leads to different skill trees. So you can approach it from the angle you're interested in. If you're interested in the charts inside, you might say, I want to learn how to draw charts like these first. Not everyone will follow the same learning path. I encourage everyone to try looking at others' work and practice a bit more. So, when you run this code and practice more, what should you do? Didn't we mention before that you can copy this code and take it back? So the copy to draft here is gone, or you can directly open a new one. There's an open notebook here, and you can create a new one. Let me create a new one. This is the old one. Now I want to create a new one and check open. I'm going to create a new one here. These are all the ones I've opened before. I can do it in many ways. For example, I might go to my Google Drive. Then, after logging into your Google Drive, you can add a new file, just like you add other types of files, and there's a Colab here. After you add it, you can directly paste the examples Gemini taught you and give it a try. So what we teach is not just hoping students will perform a task and complete the minimum requirements of the evaluation form, but rather that they can learn more through curiosity about what others are doing. This way, they can gain some programming experience they might not have had. So at this point, they can start with something simple, like if the stock prices over 5 days change like this, then I might draw a curve of this price change and use this line chart to illustrate it. Then you learn what we taught before, like this list, and also how to put each item in. Because didn't we talk about ordering before? Ordering, didn't we teach how to put a list in? So here by drawing, you can learn more about this package. And because this student did this, I extended it to guide everyone to read. If someone is willing to share more, I really encourage everyone not to be shy. Whatever you think of, you can post and share. And every week when I see it, I will verbally encourage everyone the following week to participate in this kind of interaction and collaborative learning. Now, the teacher from Lishan High School said she referred to our code examples to write a lesson plan. In this lesson plan, she also picked out what she considered the more important items and included them. So it also serves as a small guide for students to think. Therefore, I think this lesson plan is great. So it is also provided for teachers and students to refer to. Okay, so after talking about it, last week some teachers and students were willing to interact. I also thank everyone for filling out the evaluation form. The summary of the evaluation forms has been shared by the teaching assistant in our teacher group so that teachers can check what each student did during the process of filling out the evaluation form and provide reference for teachers. Indeed, we are just providing a reference here. We don't grade it and we don't want to judge students because we encourage them to take time to learn a skill that they might use in the future. This is entirely up to the student's initiative. If you are proactive in doing this, we provide these resources for you to use. If you are very tired now, we understand that preparing for exams is tough and we won't force you. So we provide it to your class teachers who can better assess your situation at school. Because we don't know the academic pressure each of you faces in your schools or classes or your school's schedule, we are unaware. Therefore, we can't customize and force every student to submit assignments according to each school's requirements. So we hand over the grading rights and management mechanism to the class teachers to handle. We provide the records of students' honest responses for teachers to refer to. Okay, let's talk again. Next week is when we found the greatest common time for most schools to have a break and study. So if your midterm exam doesn't happen to be this week or the next, I'm really sorry because every school's schedule can't be perfectly aligned. Therefore, we can only find the greatest common divisor. If we were to find the union, then we'd end up overlapping with many midterms, and we might end up taking 3 or 4 weeks off, which is too much. So we can only choose the period when most schools have exams to take a break. If your school doesn't have exams during this time, I'll allow teachers to let students review what they've learned and share some of their extended applications in the technical sharing area we mentioned. We really prefer to encourage rather than force instead of using strict grading measures. We hope everyone does this because they enjoy it. Do it voluntarily. Next week we won't be online, and then there's a Qingming holiday, so we'll have 2 weeks off. This break gives everyone a chance to digest what you didn't understand in the first 3 sessions. Let's not rush through it. Use this time to revisit what you didn't grasp. During this time, carefully go over what you didn't understand, and once you're sure, we'll move on to data visualization. As I hinted earlier, there's a tool for drawing that we'll teach after the break. So here you can see if you're already familiar with the earlier material, you can move on. Or if you're really advanced, as we've mentioned many times, you can access our self-learning platform, which has many interesting topics. You can choose different levels, like if you're a beginner now, you might choose these options. If you want to challenge yourself with university level data structures, you can also come here to select topics. We have a lot of self-learning resources, and we hope everyone wants to access these resources voluntarily rather than us forcing them on you. In our live classes, we cover the basic skills you might need. With these basic skills, you can manage all the additional resources and learning materials. All right, today we'll proceed with the 4th week and the 3rd class's example program. Today, I want to adjust and cover 2 rounds in one go. So next class, you won't need to return to the live session, but instead you'll have a full 50 minutes to practice. Let's try these 2 approaches and see which one everyone prefers. I'll ask the teachers in the group later. Previously, I would cover 1 round in 15 to 20 minutes, then give the remaining 30 minutes for practice, and after a break, cover the 2nd round. This time I'll try to cover 2 rounds consecutively, then give you a full hour to experience both methods and see which one you prefer. Today, we want to do something, which is that the interaction data mentioned before won't be saved. Every time you restart the code, whatever you typed before will disappear. So now we want to do something, which is to see if we can write what I typed into a file, saving it in a plain text file that you name, okay? Let's run all first, because by running all, you can see the result. I usually do it this way. When I don't quite understand something, I like to start from the end. I first execute it to the last step to see what the result looks like. Then I go back to break down what the process means. Because by starting from the end, you can know the final result of the program, and you can backtrack to understand why it was done that way. So when I execute it, it will stop here. This input has been taught many times, right? We have input menus and we have input grades. So this input is where you can give a piece of text from the user's perspective and let the computer process it. Today, I would say the weather is very nice today. After I press enter, I want to write this sentence, the weather is very nice today, into a file, and it says it has been written. Where will this file be saved? You must be very curious. Usually when we write like this, it is saved in the same path as your IPBY, so you must remember to take this copy to drive with you. After we take it, it will be saved in your cloud drive. So now I'll run all again, okay? The weather is very nice today. Since it's already in the same path as you and it's your account, you see a folder icon here. When you click it, you'll find it here, okay? When you open it here, it's a notebook. You can download it. You can download it to your own computer, and it will truly be on your computer. So it will be here, okay? When I bring it over, it will become a plain text file. It will be saved. This way, you will truly save the interaction results of each execution. So let's first learn how to save the data. After saving it, the next question is whether I can display the content I read, because now this is writing to a file. Can we read it out? So you will see the content readout here. It is read from the file. It's not just printing this sentence, because when you print this sentence, you directly connect to print, right? But did you see here there's a with open file name and it reads directly from the completed content? How do I prove this? If I modify this content, okay, suppose I manually add a sentence here in the file, okay, and save it. Did you notice a star flashed for a moment? When the star is in the upper left corner, it means the file has been modified but not saved. Look again, do you see it? There's a star here. A star appears in the upper left corner. If you don't save, it will remain in the previous state. So if I save now, I press Ctrl S, it saves, and that star disappears. Then I would say here that this sentence is input from text, not from input. Okay, so I save it. Okay, now that it's saved, how do I prove that I didn't input but read directly from the file? How do I prove it? Because if I run it again, won't it input here and block you again? So I actually separate this part. I separate it and then separate it in this code. I won't execute it here. I'll just execute it. What do I execute? I reread the file, and after rereading the file, I want to print out what's read from the file. It will show what I did in the file. So I've proven it. I just said the weather is nice today. It's not just a simple print, but I read it from the file. So what did it actually do? It inputs from input, then throws it into this notes text, and then retrieves it from notes text to print out. So if this file is retained, close it here. Everything you've typed before is saved, so you can easily write it out. So if that's the case, do you see here, I can write to the file and I need to add new entries each time. So what happens if I run it again? It should add a fourth and fifth sentence here. Okay, let's try it. I'll say here that I continue to add to the file. Okay, it wrote it. Let's take a look. Okay, then we'll wonder why it continues to add here. But doesn't show up here. We're here. So I need to remember that if this part doesn't succeed, we need to find out why. Do you see it? I added it here, so I should see it a pin here. So I'll ask here, hey, this append didn't succeed. Okay, then we can ask why this happened. Then I'll tell Gemini about this situation and ask why there's such a bug. So why specifically demo this? Because there are two types of bugs. The first type is when you write it wrong and it throws a warning or error, which we consider as unfamiliar syntax, and it didn't even compile successfully. What is compile? It's compiling. The other type of bug is more difficult, where there's no error or warning, but the expected result is different from what your code executes. Just like now, I expected that after reading it in, it would append and there should automatically be an extra sentence. So why did it disappear? Let's ask. Okay, I'll tell him about this situation. So sometimes it's not easy to think about these things without experience, but now there are very good tools like our AI that can help. Okay, I have a file with existing data, and then you need to tell it. Then after I run the above code, I read it again, read it again, and read it again, right? Here, tell it what happens when I read it again, but it doesn't list the latest data input from input. Only prints the original content in this file. Okay, why is this happening? Well, this demonstrates how to interact with this AI. So you see, this is a synchronization issue. So it says the syntax is correct. Let's see why this is happening. It's about where we put our path, and it needs to check this path, right? Where is this working directory? So it asks you to check one thing first, which is whether I wrote the path to the correct place. Okay, so it asks us to check, and we check here first. Now this file name, we need to move it up a bit, execute it. The code is here, and I want it to look carefully. It's placed here. Okay, we need to tell it. So we need to respond to it, which is why does it feel like the data didn't go in? And then it pops up saying this preview window won't sync. Okay, if the preview window won't sync, then we can go back here. And if it's sure the preview window won't sync, then I'll try to do one thing, which is I download it and I see the save content is also not there. So it means it guessed wrong, then tell it, the downloaded file also doesn't have the input data, so it's not the Colab preview not syncing, so AI can be wrong too. So you need the ability to justify, meaning if it tells you a possible reason, then you need to verify it yourself. Okay, then you need to tell it, oh, this thing you can rule out first. Oh, so this is very certain. Now we need to debug, right? So it says it might be this kind of open, then append, then clear. So now we need to see what it suggests. It says now we check to see if the input was successful, and after you input the text, did I write it in? Then check the file size, then see if this immediate readback content is correct. So it says it might also be that there are multiple file names in the Colab environment. Okay, then let's try what it asks us to test. So I'll add another one here. Okay. Okay, look, the weather is nice today, then manually added in the file input from text, not from input. The weather is nice. But look, it still prints out like this. So we can show this result to it. So it asks you to test. You need to help it test, right? And also show this file to it. Let it know that its previous suggestion, we actually tested. Only then can it continue to analyze. Okay, it says the weather is not good today. It's already written, yes, correct. But there's no line break directly connected, not inputting this sentence. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so actually it's stuck here. Now, why is that? The reason is in the front. everyone has this /n. But I'm here. I didn't manually add a line break for him. It's just that when we were typing, we didn't manually add a line break, so it caused the issue where it couldn't be written smoothly. So it looks for the line break to know if the sentence is complete. Actually, we made a mistake in this subtle file operation. So now it worked. We can test it again. We should have succeeded. All right, okay. So we just did something really silly, but I realized that this testing process can help everyone debug step by step. Sometimes debugging isn't about code errors. It might be due to file format characteristics, and if you overlook some subtle operations, you can't achieve your expected outcome.
So now we can test it again.
All right, test it again. Okay, so I just demonstrated it to everyone. You can replay it to see if I intentionally made a small mistake. Because I needed to create this bug for everyone to see. I didn't let the \n exist. The \n disappeared. That's the reason. So if the \n, which is a line break, is retained, it can smoothly go into the painting. So this is a little trick for everyone to know. If you're really good at programming, you can be an excellent QA because you can create bugs that others might not have thought of. Many people think QA is for junior engineers, but no, only truly skilled engineers can do QA. All right, now let's do round two. Round two involves using pandas, which we taught last week, to create a table format. This time we'll do it again, generating a CSV file that looks nicer like Google Sheets and can be saved as a CSV file. Since we ran all, it means the CSV file has been executed. Look, there's a check mark here. So you'll notice there's a scores.csv. Did you see it when you opened it? It looks like this. You can download this CSV file and open it with Excel. Let's execute it. Here it tells you Amy, Ben, Casey, David. Then it shows 90 points, 78 points, no score, and 95 points. So Casey has no score. If there's no score, how do we convert it to NaN to indicate it's a null value? It means there's nothing filled in there. Then we can use some interpolation concepts, like if you have a lot of data with null values, you might fill in the overall average or the most frequent number or the total or a percentile or Casey's past records. Among them, his most frequent score. So a lot of the logic for imputation is related to the characteristics of this data. So now let's do something straightforward. I assume Casey's score is the class average. So I just assigned the class average to Casey. All right, let's use the average to fill in his score.
So after filling it in, Casey's score becomes 87 points.
Now, at this point, 87 points, if I still want to write back, because the original data is scores, right? So if we want to do something now, can I write this data back? However, if you write it back, it's best not to alter the original data because we want to preserve the original data. So we can create another file and write this newly created file. So now, if you have your own ideas, you can do this. You can copy it to Gemini and then tell it, I want to create another file and write the complete list after imputation into this file while keeping the original file. Okay, the reason we have this instinct to preserve the original file is because during data cleaning and organizing, you might have contaminated the data, and your cleaning could be a secondary contamination. So if we want to track the debugging process when the results are not as expected, we will go back to the first step, which is to take out the original data and think again, did I fill it in correctly? Did I operate correctly? Okay. So at this point, it will ask how to do it. It's actually very simple. Just let it perform the right operation. So you just need to add this line. So just add it here. I'll run it again, and then I can see an additional entry. Now, Casey's score appears here, okay? Because I don't want everyone to just take my example program since I didn't give you this one. What I gave you is the untouched version, and I hope you can watch the replay during a class session. By watching the replay, you can follow along and operate at once, because if I also gave you the version I operated on, you might not fully engage, just glancing over it and thinking, oh, I seem to understand. But if you watch my video and follow along, you'll notice there are some details you didn't pay attention to. So I won't give you the modified version. Your basic first step is to start with the example program from today's March 20th lesson, and then go through the process of intentionally creating errors to understand the code. This is another strategy for learning programming. I also like doing it this way, having a whole picture in mind when thinking about this. Okay, now our feedback form for today is here. Let's open it and guide everyone to fill it out. Here we've made a change, which is to let everyone choose their own school, because when we were organizing the master list, we found people with the same name and we weren't very sure. If you didn't write your school correctly, your name and record might be misplaced, so please remember this. You must fill this out. After completing it, we can compare it later. Continue to fill out what you need based on your self-awareness and honesty in the self-learning process. This isn't graded, so there's no need to worry. Finally, if you really find what I just mentioned interesting, or if you have some new ideas, feel free to share them here. Let everyone know that you understand and are starting to think about programming from a global perspective. This also takes you to another level where you're not just checking if the syntax of the code is correct, but you're also considering the logic, data accuracy, and the interaction of the format. Okay, our live broadcast ends here. In the next class, you'll have a full hour to practice this in 2 rounds. Next time in class, let me remind you again, when is the next class? Let's take a look together. The current class is on April 10th, so before April 10th, please make sure you've completed the first part, which is all the evaluation forms before our midterm exam. We will do a comprehensive summary of the first part, and before the second midterm exam, there will also be 3 sessions.
This is our second part. Then you will gradually accumulate your learning process. All right, I'll stop the live broadcast now.